It's the Flex Network. Flex on everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Flex Network. I am your host, Flex Shane. You can follow me on Twitter at the Flex Network 1. Today, I'm joined by a man that goes by many names. Some call him a draft scout. Some call him a media baron. Some even call him the paparazzo. I just call him Cody Carpentier. You can follow Cody at Carpentier NFL. Cody, how the hell are you doing, brother? Thanks for coming on. Oh, I think we lost Cody right off the bat. That's not a great start.
What happened?
Cody, you're there. You're there, Cody.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Did I pop off?
No, you're good. How you doing?
Okay. No, I'm doing pretty good. Just enjoying this draft process, going to the different events, Combine, Senior Bowl, and got to go to the Millie Coolest Pro Day the other day. It's a long process that a lot of people, just think it's an in-season job working in fantasy, but it's a year-round thing out here, and you know that.
I think that first of all, it's March 29th. Okay. So anybody who's watching this show, I'm just started my first started dynasty draft of the season, but any of these dynasty degenerates, like it's 365, man. And hey, here's the thing, Cody, like there are a few trusted analysts that I go to and I follow for the draft prospects. Like I don't really have time to watch college football. I live in Canada too. So for me, it's kind of like a foreign language, right? This college football thing. But as I've dived more into it, like I'll typically start dabbling in December. So there's a few guys that I trust that I'll go to. And it's like, all right, who do these guys like? So obviously Ray GQ, he's somebody who the industry knows. And then in Cody Carpentier, man, like who does Cody like? So that's who I start following you. You have your show. You've got undercover ops throughout the season where you dive deep. You've got the future cast, which you're always talking about. The upcoming rookie class, and now you're officially your official title of player profiler, draft analyst, and game chart manager. So that's pretty cool. So the draft analyst, for those who don't know, playerprofiler.com is pretty much where I power all the data that I use. I pull from Player Profiler. I like to call myself a power user. But since you've gotten there, Cody, you guys have broken out the big boards. You guys have added prospects to your database. Like you even have 2023 prospects in there already. But I'm kind of curious, peeling back the onion, like how do you get into these rookies? Like, are you an avid college football fan? Do you watch a lot of the games? Like, how do you get to know the rookies?
So my process is a little different than a lot of people. Some people, you're either I watch every single down of college football throughout the year, and then I get even deeper and now I'm already working on 2023. Or you have the guys that don't watch a down of football, maybe until that national championship game. And then after that, they dive into the film. I think it really ranges really just based on who you are and how you like to process your stuff. But we're so busy in season that I can't watch every single play. What I do mainly in season is I'll attend a few games on my own. I'll watch a few games on my own. I'll watch a bunch of highlights, do a lot of scoreboard watching, looking at a lot of box scores, and I'll make notes. I'll say, hey, this guy looks fantastic. You take the note of Kenneth Walker looking awesome the whole season. You see Kevin Harris a couple of years ago. That's a guy I made a note on a couple of years ago. Zamir White coming out of high school. Rashad White in 2020 had a great season, but he only played 5 games. Different things like that. You just take notes. And then as the season wanes and we kind of get through with the actual fantasy football season, then you dive even deeper into those guys. And then you get to the film, and then you get to the metrics. And my process is a little different just because of how busy we are in the season. I still watch some ball, but like, again, I'm not like Ray G. Ray G watches every single, like it feels like every single game, which is definitely on his brand, which is the Devy stuff. But I just do requisite work and enough in season to just kind of know everything that's on the surface, and then a little bit deeper. And then I jump in real deep pretty much in late December.
Late December, yeah. So it's pretty much right around that time I start to dive in myself. Would you classify yourself more as a tape guy or as a data guy?
No, and that's also a big thing is a lot of people always took me for like a tape guy, and that's because I'll have some takes and my opinions on certain guys might be based on kind of how they run routes or the
Mm-hmm.
separation they create or this dog mentality thing. But in my draft grading process, a lot of it that goes into it is the film, obviously, gameplay watching, what these guys can do in college versus what they can do in the pros and how it translates to the pros. I have a personality grade, which is literally just, going through all the social medias, having the opportunity at the Senior Bowl Combine to look at these guys and talk to them and physically hear them. I listen to a bunch of interviews that they do just to kind of get that vibe that they give off. If a guy doesn't want to talk to anybody and a guy's kind of an ass, he just doesn't want to have anything to do with the media. It kind of gives you a feel of who he is. And then on the metric side of it, when the metrics come in, you get the college dominators, you get the breakout ages, and then you get the combine numbers. Like I take in all of it. I don't consider myself a film guy, and I don't consider myself a straight analytics guy because I take a lot of different things into the pile. So a lot of those conversations, like I've had a lot of those conversations with Josh because he's really on that analytics side, and he's like, "Yeah, you watch a lot of film, don't you?" And I was like, I mean, I watch film, but that's not, I've never drawn the line of I'm an analytics guy. I'm a film guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, I kind of classify myself somewhere in the middle too, because like I have a subscription to Dynasty Geeks, and they have that prospect film room, right? Which is essentially just, they have somebody that just maps out the plays. And so I like to watch that. I'm a big data guy. Pretty much whenever you guys are updating your databases, I like to do the big polls, and I like to use Tableau to break down charts and that sort of thing. But, at the end of the day, I feel like data is one thing, but if the player doesn't pass the eye test, like if he doesn't look like he's a good player, then it's really hard to get excited about those types of players. But I think it's really interesting to talk about, like, you've got like a personality score, because like a guy that I've been pretty high on through the process is Sky Moore. And then when you were at the combine, you're just talking about how this dude just got like a cool personality. And it's like I love to see that, man. And one of my coworkers, she went to NDSU, and she was she just was there the same time as Christian Watson, Trey Lance, right? So she got to know these guys. She played on the soccer team there, so also a college athlete, right? And just getting to know, like, hey, like these guys are pretty down to earth. They're nice people. Like Christian Watson, I'm sure you've heard some of his interviews, but he just sounds like such a nice, down to earth dude, right?
Yeah.
Who, he had a late growth spurt, and then he went from like, what was he, like 5'9", 150 as his first year in college, and then all of a sudden he's just like this athletic phenom. So it makes a big difference, and I think having a little bit of modesty goes a long way. So I think that's pretty cool. But listen, Cody, you're the expert, and shall we start talking about some of these rookies?
Let's do it.
Let's go. Okay. All right. So everybody knows the names of Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, Treylon Burks. Okay. I want to go a little bit deeper, but I think one player that I do want to talk about, some of the sizzle at the top, is Chris Olave. Okay. Ohio State wide receiver. So Chris Olave, you guys, actually, I don't want to bury the lead here. Everybody right now, or after this podcast, go to playerprofiler.com. And I'm sure all of you have been to that website, but just below the little player search bar is Cody's, we'll call it your baby of 2022. It's your rookie draft guide. It's free. All you have to do, enter your email address. You guys all probably get the newsletter anyways. Go get it. It's fantastic. I mean, look, we all have our own process, but Cody, you and the team, like I think it was you and Andy really were the ones, Andy Milnick, who were like the brains behind this thing. I don't want to take credit away from anybody, but you guys crushed it, is all I have to say. It's such a good guide. And for those of you who are, it's a month away from the draft, the real NFL draft, go and familiarize yourself with it. It's not just the fantasy players either. It's, you guys did defensive players, the O-line. It's just a fantastic job. So within that draft guide, Cody, you guys have provided rankings or grades, player grades. And Chris Olave is your highest ranked wide receiver on the board. So first and foremost, like from a fantasy perspective, do you think Chris Olave has the upside to be the wide receiver one in this draft?
So first, I will say, yeah, it was me and Andy did a lot of the stuff. I will shout out Aaron Stewart, Matt Dunleavy. They did a lot of the creation stuff, and Nick Guido. I got to give shout outs to
Yeah,
my
of
guys
course.
that had work in on that guide, because that guide was a thing that came together reasonably quick, and 100 pages definitely cannot be done by a one man job. So shout out to all you guys. Chris Olave, that conversation. I've gotten this question quite a bit regarding the guide, especially because, as you noted, Chris Olave has that fantasy ranking of 4. But
Yes.
the draft grade is 8.63, which, as you can tell, is considerably higher than the next best receiver, which is Garrett Wilson. And the reason of that is those draft grades, and maybe this could have been probably portrayed a little bit differently, but all of the draft grades are my grades based on NFL prospects. So my top 300 big board can be found on playerprofiler.com, and that is the entirety of the draft grades in order as overall NFL prospects. Now, do the NFL prospects translate to being a fantasy superstar? No, I don't think that's a direct correlation. More so than just how they might help the team. Like you see, and my easy correlation between these two things is, and it has been. I was talking to Alex Dunlap about this, and we were at the Senior Bowl, and it was Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. So Chris Olave, I prefer as an NFL prospect quite a bit more than Garrett Wilson, Drake London, and Treylon Burks. From a fantasy perspective, I'd take Garrett Wilson. But Chris Olave in the NFL, yes. I compared the situation to Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham coming out of college. I've ran this comparison a few times to a few different people, and they can see where I'm leading at. But the visual is that Chris Olave is the Jarvis Landry. He's the quiet guy that gets a lot of targets, and he's just going to be that route running savant. Everything's going to be clean, crisp. You're not going to hear a lot from him. Garrett Wilson, on the other hand, has those superstar qualities. Not saying Olave doesn't, because he does, but they're just not as exuberant as a Garrett Wilson, where Garrett Wilson has those Odell Beckham qualities. He's going to be a superstar wherever he lands. He has the untapped upside. He did come in light, 183 pounds to the combine. He ran that 4.3. I think he's going to bulk back up. And as we've discussed on Player Profiler before, the archetype you see in Jamar Chase, Odell Beckham, Justin Jefferson, these guys, this new age, for years, everybody wanted to have the 6'3", 6'4", big bruiser in the red zone, the Brandon Marshall. It's moving more towards this archetype of Odell Beckham, Juju, Jamar Chase, guys like that. And that's where I think Garrett Wilson fits in. And I think Garrett Wilson in fantasy, it will be better than Olave. Olave is just going to be that. I think he's going to be the best pro from this wide receiver class. But again, Wilson, London, Burks, I think those guys have higher ceilings from a fantasy perspective than Chris Olave does. That's kind of the thesis. And I haven't really had a lot of opportunities to lay that out exactly like that, but that's kind of the process behind that one.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit of a BMI snob, or I've been called that in the past before. And like both these guys are a little bit slighter. I mean, so Chris Olave, he's 6 foot 187. Garrett Wilson, 6 foot 183. They're both quick as hell. Chris Olave 4.39. Garrett Wilson 4.38. But you're right. I mean, they just like you watch their tape and they look different on the field. Who do you think for your money? I mean, so again, you got the NFL draft or big board at playerprofiler.com, and you index all the different mocks that are out there, and you guys do your own mock. But for your money, Cody, who do you think is going to be the first wide receiver off the board?
Right now, if I had to put the money in, I'm really, I haven't made any bets, to be honest, on it. But if I had to bet right now, probably would be Drake London. His pro day comes up here on, I think, April 6th. He's having a solo pro day because he was not ready for the USC pro day last week. So I'm very interested, because this is going to be a big it's going to be big on his scale of rising and falling. If this guy goes out there and runs a 4.7, I'm not saying he's going to, but he's coming off an ankle injury, and if he comes in at 225 or something, and he just has a bad day, this could really plummet what people see out of him as more closer to a T. Higgins prospect, or maybe a Brian Edwards prospect from that standpoint. And then that's when you see a Wilson rise up or something like that. I'm not saying London's going to do that, because I love what London has on the table. But that ankle injury, if it's not 100%, he's forcing something, whatever. But I think Drake London would be my guy, and then close behind him would be Garrett Wilson as being the first receiver off the board.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to my co-host Brandon. He's pretty much in love with Drake London, and he's the man's an absolute beast. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there's been a lot of buzz about him going to the Jets. I mean, Denzel
Yep.
Mims. We love Denzel Mims. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yep.
Actually,
I don't
one of my
think so either.
dynasty leagues, somebody dropped him today, and out of pure truth or status, I had to go pick him up. But I think that's a hope and a prayer at this point. Talk to me about Treylon Burks. I don't want to go deep dive into these guys because again, there's so much out there. But like, I feel like we're overreacting with his subpar.
Yeah.
Because he still has like a roughly a 50% speed score for his size, so he's still an average speed guy, right? And again, you go back to that BMI. That's that prototype. The NFL is a copycat league. They saw what Deebo Samuel did. I'm still convinced Levis can do it if he's in the right system. Why not Treylon Burks?
Yeah, I'm not out on Burks. The big thing was coming in was 5XL gloves, 4.3 40-yard dash, and it's like, okay, did we really think that we were going to get DK Metcalf 2.0 type of like athlete? No, we didn't see that on tape. We saw the speed on tape, but it was more long speed. And now we see articles coming out where Burks was cutting weight to go to the combine because he was weighing 240 in the season. He still runs a 4.55, which is 87th percentile speed score. I was listening to Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks, and Bucky was talking about how the receiver coach, I believe it's in he had in Carolina, with talking about these 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" receivers, if these guys can run anything below 4.6, these NFL evaluators are happy about that because you have to think about it in terms of this guy is 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". He's a big boy. Like moving in the 4.5 range, the 4.4 range at that size is ridiculous. Now we saw DK Metcalf a couple years ago run the 4.3s or whatever. That's an outlier. Like those are, Randy Moss, DK Metcalf type athletes are super freaks. It doesn't mean Burks can't be good. 87th percentile speed score at 6'2", 225, when maybe who's playing at maybe 240. Like, there's a lot of things that goes in. There's a lot of variables that go into that. But this guy's just a baller. And I'm not going to get off of exactly that, what we saw in the tape where he can separate. He can separate when the ball gets there. And on the field, hitting 22 miles per hour on the GPS, like you can't ignore that, From a prospect standpoint, he dominated against Alabama. He dominated in the SEC, almost 2,400 receiving yards, 45% college dominator. Jordy Nelson did the same thing at Kansas State. Dwayne Bowe. I think my play style comp for him was Deebo Samuel, but I mean, I don't have a problem with him being, maybe a little better version of Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson was awesome. So I'm definitely not out on Treylon Burks, though.
I'm just trying to see here who you guys comped him to.
Jordy
Jordy
was the comp. Yeah, Jordy. I mean, some combination of Jordy and Eric Decker was really what we thought was like a golden comp.
I liked the Dwayne Bowe comp.
You like that one?
That one's solid. And actually, my buddy Brandon, who we keep talking about, he sees Brandon Marshall and Treylon Burks. That was his comp, was Brandon Marshall before you guys came out with this. So, I mean, either way, I think he's going to be a solid prospect. I'm still on that bandwagon. Look, if all this hate's just going to push him down drafts, give me, man. Like I'm excited for that. A little bit of a deeper prospect, Sky Moore, Western Michigan. Can you tell the people why I love Sky Moore so much?
This guy's just a dude. First off, he's coming out of Western Michigan early. 3 years at Western Michigan. I think he made the right decision because Caleb Ellaby's leaving. The running back's transferring. 5'10", 195 pounds, 4.4, 140-yard dash, close comparables of Golden Tate, Christian Kirk, things like that. 99th percentile college target share, 99th percentile, 91st percentile college dominator. Sky Moore is just a guy you can't miss on. 1,200 yards this last season, 800 as a freshman at Western Michigan. Sky Moore, I mean, like I said on Twitter, like you mentioned earlier, Sky Moore is a dude. Like he had the highest dog rating among all my wide receivers when grading through that process. And that dog rating is that personality thing I was talking about with an 8.8 out of 10. It just, he has that vibe where he's like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to get the job done. I'm going to be aggressive as hell about it. Makes you think of like that Steve Smith mentality, that attitude. And when I asked him, like, what's kind of your process? You get the ball, what's going to happen? He's like, when I get the ball, I want to score and I don't want you to touch me. And it's just like, it's one of those guys, when you're around enough players, you get vibes. And he was the one, like I literally tweeted, I was like, something different there, something different there. That the energy is just elevated. Like there's a little bit of a glow around Sky Moore. So it's definitely a guy that I'm a big fan of. And the mock draft you alluded to, I had him going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, I love me
Could you
some Sky
imagine?
Moore.
I would love that. I would love that. I mean, I'm a big Deontay Johnson guy. Like, actually, that was who I'm doing this year in the Player Profiler draft kit. But I think that'd be fantastic. I mean, he's going to be good. I'm excited for him. Last wide receiver question for you, John Mechie. Yeah. He's not getting the same buzz. To me, wide receiver Alabama, to me, he's more of a out of sight, out of mind type player right now. Before he got hurt, I mean, he was right there with Jameson Williams in terms of the production. So like, why are we, what's going on with John Mechie? Like, why is he falling so far, at least in the dynasty conversations, or excuse me, the fantasy football conversations?
I think Mechie is falling, more so because of what we saw from Jameson.
Right.
And we saw from Devonta the last 2 years. You saw both these guys be ultra prolific playing with Bryce Young. You saw the run games be prolific with Najee and Brian Robinson. And Mechie just kind of was the third wheeler from the weapon standpoint. You know, it was Devonta and it was Najee last year, and this year it was Jameson and it was Brian Robinson. And Mechie just kind of was there, and he got the job done. This guy's got 2,000 receiving yards at Alabama with a 22% college dominator. So I really don't have a problem with John Mechie, and I think he's going to become a value. Now, best comparable to Russell Gage on playerprofiler.com. From a play style standpoint, I saw a lot. Now, bear with me now. I saw a lot of Antonio Brown in his run style and kind of how he reacts in and out of routes, in and out of breaks, and just kind of the way he carried himself on the field and different things like that. And I think Mechie's going to be a great value coming into these rookie drafts. And I think in the NFL draft, he's going to be a great value. It looks like he's going in the middle of round 3 right now. So I think all around in the NFL draft, if he goes in round 3, I think he's still going to be a value. And my favorite landing spot there, I mean, matching him back up with Mac Jones.
I was just about to say, so I'm a Patriots guy, and Mac was talking about him. I think that'd be fantastic. I mean, we saw it last year, and the formula seems to work. You get your college quarterback, you get your college wide receiver, and it's instant gold, man.
I think so too. And John Mechie, now we're looking at ADPs. You can go to Dynasty Deluxe on playerprofiler.com. Rookie draft ADPs. We got John Mechie going off at the average pick of number 30 overall. So in your 12-man leagues, that's the middle of the third round. That's value, man. Like he's going around that Jalen Tolbert, Kelvin Austin, Velus Jones area. And you know, I love Jalen Tolbert. But again, Jalen Tolbert was at South Alabama putting up 1,400 yards, where John Mechie was putting up 800 yards at Alabama with requisite talent next to him. I think both these guys can be great at the next level. And I have no problem taking John Mechie in the middle of the third round in rookie drafts. That's going to be instant value, especially when he becomes healthy.
Man, like, so the narrative this year coming into 2022 is that trade your damn picks, like defer to 2023, but we might not have that absolute sizzle to top, but it's like legit deep, especially in Superflex leagues, to like the mid third round. And like I'm in a startup right now, I think we're around like 13, 14 or something like that. And we've got, you can choose your like a pick, right? So choose a kicker and it's like pick 2.5, whatever, right? And right now I'm hammering. Actually, anybody in my league now, cover your ears for a sec. I'm hammering the rookies right now because we're right in the middle of the second round, and like you're gonna get solid players right up until the middle of the third round, and like it's gonna be a good draft. And I think, you know, especially with the running back position, which we're gonna get into right here, I think that a lot of these old slugs. I mean, before we came on, I was just checking Spotrac just on to see if there's anything that I missed today, and there's still a lot of old 28, 29-year-old running backs out there. I don't think you're gonna get jobs, man, because there's a good class coming in. And you know, with that in mind, we were going to talk about some of the negatives. Let's talk about the positive, okay? Rashad White, man. Okay, this guy, I think you were the first guy that I heard the name come out of your mouth and say, look, this is a guy you guys need to pay attention to. And he continues to go up boards. And this was a stat that I just saw. My buddy just tweeted this out. It was on Twitter. So of all Power 5 running backs with at least 90 rush yards per game and 40 rush yards, 90 rush yards per game, 40 reception yards per game in a single season since 2023 or 2013. Rashad White, Saquon Barkley, Joe Mixon, Christian McCaffrey, and Todd Gurley. Okay. That is some pretty solid company. And then the man comes out and he pretty much melts the combine, running a 4.48. That's a 106.3 speed score. He had a 1.27.1 burst score. He's 214 pounds, 6 foot. Like he checks all the boxes. So tell me about Rashad White. Like I think he's got to be the RB3 in this class at this point, right? Behind Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall.
100%. And in fantasy, the only thing that was deterring me was the age between him and Isaiah Spiller. Everything else, I had Rashad White ahead of Isaiah Spiller. In the NFL draft prospect grades, I have him and Zamir tied because I think Zamir translates good to the NFL from a running style standpoint, but it's still RB3. Rashad, like you said, I think top to bottom, he is just a complete, close to complete prospect as you can get. 43 receptions this last year, 1,000 rushing yards and only 182 attempts, 16 total touchdowns. This guy has a crazy backstory where he didn't really get recruited at all. He went to Nebraska Kearney, didn't get any opportunities. He transferred to Mount San Antonio College in California, where Antonio Pierce brought him over from Kearney. Antonio Pierce, the linebacker from the Giants, brings him over there, and then he talks to Herm Edwards from Arizona State, which brings him there. And it's just kind of one of those things where you got to know somebody, and they helped this guy get to that level. And now Antonio Pierce is with the Raiders, so that's a sneaky landing spot as well. But I think Rashad White as a whole, and since day one, when I saw him before the Senior Bowl and then at the Senior Bowl, I saw him, and I loved everything I saw. And it just reminded me of a clone of Le'Veon Bell, but being like 15 pounds lighter than Le'Veon was, and a little more efficient coming out of college than Le'Veon was, because Le'Veon wasn't the prospect that Le'Veon ended up being. But from a patience standpoint, from a pass catching standpoint, from just doing it all, it was Le'Veon Bell. And really what confirmed my priors, which we love to do, is going to the combine and talking to Rashad and being like, who do you model your game after? And I asked this question to quite a few players, and the one that, like I just said, Le'Veon Bell. I asked Rashad White, who do you model your game after? He says, prime Le'Veon Bell. You remember Arian Foster? And I was just like, arms in the air. This is the dude. I'm going to have a lot of Rashad White in these rookie drafts. I just think he's 23 years old, hurts, but we saw that last year from Najee Harris. I have supreme confidence in Rashad White.
I love to hear that. And the other White brother, not actually brothers, is Zamir White that I'm pretty high on. So Zamir White of Georgia. I think of when I'm trying to, in my brain, I think of like Michael Carter and Javonte of last year to Zamir White and James Cook of this year.
Yeah.
And you guys have Zamir White as your RB5. He's a little bit younger. He's 22 and a half years old. But tell the people about Zamir White, because I don't think he's getting a lot of talk right now.
Yeah, I think your correlation there is good. I hadn't thought of that one before. I think this is a little bit of a poorer version of those guys. I think James Cook is a better route runner, a better receiver than Michael Carter. I think Michael Carter is a better overall running back.
Your boy.
Carrier,
how dare you,
James
Cody?
Cook.
Your boy, Michael Carter. How dare you?
Yeah, I love Young MC, as Joe Douglas would call him. But Zamir White, discount version of Javonte Williams. He runs that 4.40 40-yard dash. We did not see that coming. He did come in 214 pounds. Former borderline 5-star prospect coming out of college or coming out of high school. There's not a lot you can miss with Zamir. He had a couple of knee injuries early in his career, but he got the same treatment that all these Georgia guys did, where, they didn't carry the load year after year, 78, 144, 160 carries year after year. Never clipped 1,000, which a lot of people are going to point to, but that's not the problem. The point is that the combine, there was rumors this guy is as healthy as he's ever been in his career. And if that is true, you're getting that 4 or 5-star prospect out of high school with healthy knees now and only 382 carries on his body, over 2,000 total yards, 382 carries. So that's like, that's one of those big seasons that we saw from Jonathan Taylor, and that's only one career from Zamir White. So I really like Zamir White. I think he's going to translate good to the NFL. He's an animal. not really a lot to say about him. I do think the NFL likes him better than a lot of the media or dynasty Twitter sees Zamir White. Where I don't think you hear much about Zamir on the old Twitters because it's a lot of Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker conversation. But I think Zamir belongs in that conversation.
I agree with you, man. I'm right there with you. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that gives you a little bit of pause, I think it was 2 ACLs, right? Like, wasn't it one in the senior season of high school, and then he went to Georgia, and before he even played it down, he tore his other one. So that's tough. But the fact that he's been able to come back and he's seemingly healthy, I mean, look, I feel like with a lot of these running backs, you have to have a shorter window on what you're looking at. If we can get his first contract on your rookie team or on your team as a rookie, like that's all you can ask for. Let's go negative here for a little bit, Cody. Okay, so 2 guys, unfortunately, that have been disappointing. The first guy we got to talk about is Isaiah Spiller. He didn't look good at the combine. Apparently, he hurt a hamstring at the combine. So what was it? 2 weeks ago now, he had his pro day, and the trash man was there. And so one of the, again, we've been following Ross Watch forever. We're friends of the program, and look, he's a swarthy man. He's a swarthy individual, but he seems to know, and he's got a good eye for talent. So he was saying that Isaiah Spiller wasn't favoring his hamstring at all during the drills, but he did see him off to the side stretching a little bit. So, I mean, if you trust Trash Man, he thinks he's more of like a 4.55 type guy versus this 4.6, 4.61. But where are you at on Spiller, man? He seems to be plummeting. I mean, I'm looking at your rankings right here, and he's still high up there, but are you guys still are you drafting him with confidence?
No. Again, the pro day number came in where we collect our official pro day numbers. After the scouts kind of conclude the middle of the field after these pro days, then the numbers get put out there. We get those from DraftScout.com. So you go to Playerprofiler. We put in a 4.64 as the official 40-yard dash time from Isaiah Spiller, which translates to a 4.69 because we have the 0.05 addition. That's some research we did last season and years prior. That's the average addition difference between these pro days and the NFL Combine, gauging for a lot of things that go into that process. But anyways, so 4.69 is really what we have him plugged in as. But even if Trashman, I know he had like 4.54 maybe on his clock. Yeah, add 0.5 to that, it's still 4.6. So it's still not in that great range. Now, when you're talking about comps and stuff, like a Devin Singletary, a TJ Yeldon, I think he fits that David Montgomery. Montgomery's an early comp that I had for him. That's who I thought he was going to come out as a comp, but it didn't end up being there. I still believe that Spiller can be a guy, but I don't think he belongs in that conversation with Walker, Hall, White, or White. I think he starts to have that conversation when you're talking about Kevin Harris, who I think is a better prospect than Isaiah Spiller for the NFL. But I think he's more in that Kevin Harris conversation, Jerome Ford conversation, than I think he is in that upper echelon. Now, great job in college, but again, I've said this on a couple different shows. I think he was the beta of this entire group at the combine, through the whole process, just from, like I said, the personality side of it and different things like that. We also hate to see guys, play with the process. And by play with the process, we mean we're talking about the Laquan Treadwell corollary where, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to do that. I'm too cool for this, or I'm hurt for this, and things like that. We're like, if he was hurt at the combine, I'm sorry. I feel bad for you, but don't go out there and jump the vertical then. Don't go out there and do the positional drills. Say, hey, I'm hurt. I'm going to weigh in. And you know what Drake London did? He weighed in, he got measurements, and he said, hey, I'm going to work out on April 6th. Now, Isaiah Spiller, what should have you done? If you could go back, hindsight's 2020, but it's not really, because you really could have done it because you did. You just got to say, hey, man, I'm not there. Give me a couple of weeks, and then I'll go run. And that's the thing that really doesn't measure up with me, is because, like I said, the personality thing, and then dinking and dunking around these like workouts, and then he goes and runs, and his dad's saying, yeah, he's hurt. I told him not to run, but he's too what do they call it?
Proud,
too strong, too his pride's too high. He had to do something. It's like, yeah, but if you knew you're only going to put out a 31-inch vertical, probably shouldn't have just done it anyway.
Don't do it. I mean, that's bad. That's bad.
That's bad.
It's objectively bad.
It's horrible. And then go out and do like the positional drills. It's like, well, my question would be as a coach, and I have to imagine some of these coaches and position coaches are saying, why is this dude doing running back drills on the field? Did he run?
Mhm.
No, he didn't run. Well, then why is he out here? Like, that would be my question, right? I don't feel
Yeah.
like I'm wrong in that process. And that's just one of those things that really what you're looking for in this entire process is everybody's trying to prop everybody up, but you have to find the things that are too obvious. And these are a few things that I think through the whole process of years of looking at this is there's certain things with certain guys that maybe push me away that I've gotten burnt on before, let's say. And
Right.
then you realize it, right?
This isn't your first rodeo, baby. It's like when there's
That's-
those glaring warning signs, like, all right, let's listen to them. So another glaring warning sign here, Cody, is a guy that we were let's frankly, we were high on. He was RB3, RB4 pre-combine. Kyron Williams, running back on a Notre Dame. He has plummeted in the draft. Like he's just that's it. He's off the boards. It's 4th round pick now, right? In dynasty drafts. So why we loved Kyron Williams was frankly because of the production, right? Like you guys talk about it all the time on your show. How do running backs get points? Red zone touches and receptions. The man had 42 receptions last year and 35 receptions the year before that. Like absolute beast. I was a little bit worried about his weight. I hoped that when he came in, he would have weighed in closer to 200 pounds. He didn't. Let's see here. He weighed in at 194. Man, is this it? Is the story done? Like, or are we overreacting here?
I mean, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard process. Someone's going to have to fall in love with him, right? So he runs at 4.65 at the combine, and then you have this Twitter reported 4.54 from his pro day, and then you hear Daniel Jeremiah and Dane Brugler say, I had some NFL guys tell me that was actually a 4.7 and a 4.74,
God.
and you go,
Yeah.
Because the big thing, right, was Kyle Hamilton ran slow. People were like, geez, Kyle Hamilton ran the 4.7s. And then it was like, yeah, but Kyron didn't actually run 4.54. Kyron ran 4.7. So
It's slow.
it just doubled down. We're like, you know,
Yeah.
and you had the Notre Dame Twitter account pushing for him and stuff. But yeah, no, I didn't have a problem with Kyron on tape. I did not see a 4.7 guy on tape. I think the James White comp now becomes like a ceiling, more so than what was once thought of as like a floor. That James White, Dion Lewis type situation, being undersized and being slower. But again, James White ran in the 4.5s legit. Whereas Kyron's struggling to get there. I've seen a couple pictures of him in the offseason not being in the best shape.
No.
I just have a lot of questions with Kyron. I think he can be a great pass catcher. I think he can show some burst, but I just think it's going to be a tough road.
So the guy that he reminded me of before the combine and I was afraid of was Kenny Gainwell, actually. He was somebody that he reminded me of. And I think you guys comped him too, actually, to Kenny Gainwell in your draft.
Fourth closest comparable, yeah.
Yeah, so that was interesting. So in the chat here, I got one guy asking about what you think about Tyler Algier. BYU, he had an insane season last year, but it doesn't seem like he's getting the buzz anymore.
Yeah, because Algier was a linebacker, and then he transferred to running back. I think he had 1,600 yards this last season, and we liked him coming in. We had this tier of Algier, Abram Smith, and one other guy, I think maybe Sincere McCormick, at like the 10, 11, 12 or 11, 12, 13 spot in the rookie rankings before the combine. And we really, there was these fugazi rumors of Tyler Algier was going to come in at, it was just like Burks, right? They're like, he's going to come in at 220 pounds. He's going to run a 4.39. It was like,
no.
Jonathan Taylor lives in BYU. Like, what? And he comes in, he runs the 4.60, which again isn't terrible for being 224 pounds. A 65th percentile speed score. I like Algier, 22 years old, 78th percentile college target share, 36% college dominator. Like the Zach Moss comp, I think is a very good one. I think best case scenario would be a Zach Moss if he gets that 3rd, 4th round draft capital. Will he get that? I'm not sure. I would venture to guess probably more of a 6th round draft pick type of guy, like I saw to Jamar Jefferson last year, RIP. But I like Algier as that. He's going to be a plot. He's going to be a plotter back, and that's going to be. He's just going to be that guy. He's going to grind for 2 downs, and you might get a a James Conner type situation out of him, maybe if you're lucky, where he ends up with like a double-digit touchdown season or two. But I'm not going to be overly bullish on Algier though. It's just I liked him early on, but I don't know. He's a tough one though.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, he's got the production, but it was a BYU. So is it real? Is it going to transfer to the NFL? It's funny you mentioned Jermar Jefferson. I have a lot of Jermar Jefferson that I got in like round 5 of my drafts. I think that was compliments of Cody Carpentier, but
hey,
dude, but you got to swing. You got to
most efficient running back in Detroit last year. And that's a fact. Statistics pointed to it.
There you go. I mean, look, it's year 2. There's hope. There's still hope for him.
There's always hope, brother.
There's always hope. I want to take a pivot here because I want to ask you a question here. Okay. So I want to peel back the onion of the myth that is Player Profiler. That's Matt Kelly. It's Cody Carpentier. So I got a question for you, Cody. Do you ever, just cause if you guys are like on a team call, it's you, it's Matt, it's the team on the call. Will you ever like do a coach centric take just to put Matt on tilt? Like, I don't know if you've listened to the latest Sonic Truth show, but he went on tilt. There was somebody in the chat who asked the coach centric question. He goes on a tangent, man. So do you ever do that? Just, get a reaction out of him?
Sometimes we'll put a layup out there, maybe in the middle of a meeting, and our meetings can get pretty long because of conversations like this, where we just go on for the tangents and a meeting turns into a Mind of Management episode, essentially, right? Like there's always those opportunities for a layup when you're talking about a prospect, and then you can kind of build the circle, and you can kind of, he's a tough one to bait into things, but you can do it, and then you just throw out there Shanahan, and then the response is, God damn it, fuck, and then it's like, those are the best when you can walk them into those ones.
That's hilarious. Actually, it's kind of uncanny. Matt reminds me of my first boss I ever had at a university, and it's like the characteristics, his attitude he's just his gift of just being so well spoken, and that's pretty cool. Okay, another question. Okay, so you've had the pleasure of spending a lot of time with Alex Dunlap, and maybe the pleasure of spending a lot of time with the Trash Man. Does a man smell as swarthy as we are meant to believe he smells with his organic deodorants and body washes?
Yeah, he's a character. The Trash Man is something. I've went on a couple trips now, the Senior Bowl and the Combine.
You guys stayed in an Airbnb with the man.
Yeah, we stared at a couple of Airbnbs together. I think he's went on maybe a half dozen dates in those locations, and I'm not sure if the Trash Man has paid for a single meal for himself.
Never.
The Trash Man is awesome. He digs deep into these prospects. He was doing shows when we were in Indy, solo shows, just going through ranking updates and stuff like. Trash Man's awesome. He's one of the unsung heroes, I think, in the fantasy community.
He is. He really is. I love that. Okay, so I'm cognizant of your time, Cody. There's lots I wanted to talk to you about. Maybe we can get you on the show in a couple months to talk again. But I want to talk a little bit about where you guys are going, because you guys were on, I guess, the last Code Breaker show on last Monday, I want to say. And you guys were talking about what you guys are planning to do with Player Profiler. Just talking about like the winning. What's the stat you guys call it? Just winning percentage?
It's win rates, overall win routes. That stuff's going to be dropping on Friday. That's a big project. That was the all 22 team. Like I discussed before, in the pre-show that we were talking about, how I kind of got my start was with the formation crew. And that's where we go back through on Sundays, watch every single game, collect all the stats. And we have a performance team that does that. And then now that data gets aggregated on Tuesdays and put into the website. And that's how you get all your advanced metrics on Player Profiler. And that's the team that I'm managing. Now in 2021, we created a new team called the All 22 team. And this All 22 team went back and after the games are over and after we got the All 22 coach tape, this team of 10 or 11 grinders went in and watched over 50,000 routes. Every single player, every single route ran. Every single route ran on the entire season was was charted. Every single one, not 4 games, not 8 games.
Mhm.
Every single game was charted for every single route, for every single player. And we came out with a lot of these win rates, overall total wins, which Keenan Allen led that trait. Michael Pittman was one of the biggest grossers in this. He's top 5 in win rate against man, top 10 against zone, top 5 overall in wins. I believe he was number 1 overall in win rate. Michael Pittman
Wow.
is one underrated SOB, and matching him up with Matt Ryan is going to be dangerous. But yeah, these metrics drop on Friday on Player Profile. That's the shoot date is Friday, Saturday at some point this week. And then the draft guide, like you mentioned, that's on the front page of Player Profiler. That's a 100-page guide. The breakout finder will be up here probably the week before the NFL draft. A lot of people have been asking for that one, but we're going through some processes with that. And then the injury finder, which is our baby this spring.
Yes.
The injury finder will be what helps predict injuries and find these guys that are very volatile in the injury class. And that's going to be coming very soon to all the app stores around you. So like you said, a lot of things going: draft guide, injury finder, breakout finder, and this big win rate. Just a boatload of 2 more sections of free metrics at the bottom of every player page. It's just a good time to be a player profiler.
Matt's just such a unique dude that like his whole plan was, let's spend a lot of money, make a beautifully well-designed site, put all this advanced data for free. And it's been such a gift to the fantasy community. I know myself, I use that site probably literally daily. I have the Dynasty Dominator app on my phone that, if I want to compare 2 players, not even just to see their values, just to say, okay, how does this prospect compare to that prospect? It's so quick and easy. And I mean, you guys have been crushing it. You keep putting out amazing product after amazing product. And, that's what's so exciting about this injury finder is that you guys have done so well with, you guys have such a strong brand that I trust. Like, I'm willing to spend, and it's $5 US dollars. Again, I'm Canadian, so like $8 for me, but it's worth every penny. And frankly, you guys should be charging a hell of a lot more. So if you guys don't have it, obviously playerprofiler.com, there's different levels of subscriptions you can get. I suggest the all-in package is what I have because, hey, I do my own rankings. We do all this own stuff too, but it's like a sanity test, right? I mean, this is what I think about a player. What do the experts think about this player? Dynasty Dominator app, the breakout finder. If you guys you don't have time to dabble in all these rookies, Player Profiler, you guys do it. You get the damn app, and it's okay. It's important to understand. I'm glad you guys are doing it before the combine because it's good to understand a prospect, or actually not before the draft. The level of the prospect both before and after the draft. I think that's fantastic. So, Cody, you guys are crushing a Player Profiler, and I'm so excited for you. I mean, congratulations. You've done so well. You guys have built such a great team. But listen, I can't let you go. I know we're at 47 minutes. Can't let you go. I got to ask my buddy Flex Matt about this 2023 class. So I sent you a bit of like the show sheet. So we won't get into all these players, but I'm more so concerned about some of these quarterbacks because the narrative this year is the quarterbacks aren't that great. And you were at the Malik Willis Pro Day, he's my top ranked quarterback, but we got DJU, which is I can't even pronounce it. Ukulele.
I think it's ukulele. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of different pronunciations, so I'm gonna wait and before I throw that. DJU.
DJU is what I've heard of Clemson. CJ Stroud of Ohio State, and Bryce Young of Alabama, who I believe Bryce Young won the Heisman this year, right?
Yep.
So first of all, I mean, I don't know if this is way too early, but like, how do you think those 3 prospects will stack up against this year and maybe even the 2021 class that we just saw?
I think if you drafted today, I think CJ Stroud, if you drafted both classes next year and this year combined, I think CJ Stroud would be the number 1 overall pick because I think Jacksonville would end up having to trade out of it. And you'd see a team like Detroit even try to move up to 1 or Seattle or Atlanta. I think CJ Stroud would be that number 1 overall guy. And again, you're talking about a guy at 6'3", 205. He'll probably come in about 215 next year, and he's as good a passer as there is. Bryce Young, 6 foot 194. He's going to come in slight. But he does have a big arm. I do not think he will be the top quarterback, though. I think he has probably the most talent. But again, if you could put that 6 foot 194 frame. If you could bump that to like 6'3", 215, which is obviously ideal, you can't do it.
Yeah.
I think that would be one of the best prospects we've ever seen. DJU, obviously 2 years ago, we saw what he could do. 6'4", 250. This guy's a monster with a
Yeah.
cannon. It's like it's literally Dante Culpepper 2.0 from the early 2000s. But again, he regressed a little bit this last year, dropped down 11% in passing efficiency through 10 picks, 9 touchdowns, which is not a great showing by DJ. I think he bounces back this year. You also have to look at Will Levis from Kentucky. I think Will Levis is a guy that's going to grow a lot through this process. I think the quarterback market overall next season is going to be a healthy improvement. And Will Levis is, I think, a guy that's going to be your, we saw Burrow come up. We saw Pickett come up. I think Levis had a great season this last year, and I think Levis is a guy that can take the next step in 2022 and kind of join these guys. And maybe we'll end up with a top 4 or 5 quarterbacks that are actually not considered a shitty class, I guess you could say. But I think that quarterback class next year is going to be very strong. I think, you always lose a guy or two here, gain a couple guys. Rattler still in school. Rattler can correct his wrongs and jump back in there. I think we're going to have a good class.
I'm excited for that class. Do you think Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be like a Jamar Chase level talent coming in? Because he's just an absolute beast.
Yes. So
there you go.
So yeah, like I said before, the archetype that we talked about with Odell, Jamar, Keyshawn Butte's another guy from LSU. He just had another surgery. I sure hope he does not fizzle out, because that one, Butte, oh my God, man. Keyshawn Butte from LSU. You got to go look at some of those freshman tape highlights of Keyshawn Butte. But Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think, you're fitting right into that scale. I think there's a lot of guys. Marvin Harrison Jr. is at Ohio State, but I think this Ohio State team is going to be electric again. And I think Jackson Smith is gonna lead the way, definitely. It got to shout out Xavier Worthy as well. I do got Alex Dunlap coming on the Futurecast this Wednesday, and we're going to be talking a lot of Xavier Worthy. And I think Xavier Worthy is going to deserve some of those discussions as well.
That's awesome, man. And do you guys have a lot of these pages on Playerprofiler right now, or are you still building that database?
We have about 90 to 95 player pages up, and this is not something that's normal. This has been one of the projects that I've been pushing, and my goal is, by the time the season starts, to have all the relevant college guys in there. We have about 95, I believe, guys from 2023 and 2024 already in here. Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback from Jackson State, Deion's kid, just a ton of guys, Queen Ewers, all the big names are in there right now, but we're still growing that list. In years past, if you're a loyal Player Profiler subscriber, you would know these rookies don't get plugged in here generally until about now. Then you start seeing these 2022 guys. But we had these 2022 guys coming in back in September, and we're just trying to stay ahead and get ahead so you can have these player pages for you, so you can see a guy like Jackson Smith and be like, ooh, that's going to be a dude. We got the high school metrics coming over from ESPN. So it's just a well-oiled machine, and we're trying to get you guys as much data as possible.
Well, Cody, I mean, I'm sold. You already know that. I mean, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm a big fan of Player Profiler, and I'm just excited to see what you guys keep doing, because honestly, every single year you guys step it up, and it's okay. What can these guys do this year? And it's more. So if you guys don't have a subscription to playerprofiler.com, you're doing it wrong. Go do it now. Last thing, I want you to plug what you have, Cody, because I put it in the info. You got a link tree with all your stuff. So you got a Patreon. What does that offer?
So the Patreon, we have a show on the back end. It's called it's basically a backstage pass, where it's just kind of me venting about stuff. That's where I share all my work before it gets dropped. It's where I talk to the patrons, and we have a Savage Fantasy Dynasty League. We're making more Dynasty Leagues every season. And it's a lot of one-on-one conversations, and that's kind of where the DMs can get flooded, but that's where you can go in for $1, you can go in for $4, and you can just, have easier access, join the Discord, talk to everybody else in the Patreon. And then you maybe level up to that $8 area. That's when I have a group of guys in season where, I'm on the phone with them, I'm texting them, they got my personal number. That's a really big part of it, is just having somebody to bounce ideas off of. I've sat through mini drafts with guys where I'm just sitting there and they're like, I just really need, because be honest with me, even me, when I'm in drafts, it's like, fuck, should I take
you
this?
overthink it. I overthink.
You
every
always overthink
bloody
it, and
pick. Always.
you always think,
Yeah.
damn, hey man, what do you think? And it's like you could always use that second voice or that second set of eyes to be like, is this the right pick? Should I take Kenny Golladay or should I take Chris Olave? And you're like, yeah. See where I'm at? Like,
Yeah.
you could talk yourself into things that could really, really mess up your whole season. So those are conversations, and that's kind of what the Patreon is focused on. My rankings used to be on there. Now they're pushed to Player Profiler with everybody else's, and that's kind of just where that all goes. And after the draft, there'll be more undercovered prospects episodes on there. But like you said before, on Player Profiler, my big board top 300 is in the article section over there. My mock draft 5.0 just came out this last week. I got Draft Talk, the Future Cast on YouTube, on podcast. And then the rookie draft guide. The rookie draft guide is awesome. Just go in there. It's free. 100 pages of free prospect stuff.
Free 99, baby. Do it.
Free 99. Like literally put your email in and it's free. And you get our newsletter every week, which is free and just like up-to-date stuff about, what the website's doing, rankings and stuff like that. But I did want to jump back into your, you mentioned the all-in package. You want the all-in package? This is the last year. I think it's at the $85 level. And then a year from now, it's going to jump up to $135. So you got to jump in now to kind of get grandfathered into the $85 range. But again, appreciate you having me on. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate these conversations. I love talking about the 2023 class. I love just talking about, the back end, like you said, talking about Matt and Josh and everybody. It's really good episodes. I really appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, Cody, I've been following you from afar for a long time, so I'm glad I was finally able to get you on. And who knows, maybe later in the summer with the NFL draft seasons, we'll get you back on. So
100%.
Thank you so much, brother. Quick question, last one. PR Breaker, are you still cotton candy guy or?
Cotton candy. Cotton candy is the move. I like grape. They did have a little hiccup in the what do they call it, the chain or whatever due to COVID's. A supply chain.
I work in logistics, brother. I get it.
Yes. But PR Breaker, we're still working with them, and they got Blue Raz is coming out, I believe, on the 1st of April. Blue Raz is coming back. I think they only have orange sherbet right now. You can use the promo code Cody, prbreaker.com, like you just said. Cotton candy, though. I stocked up because I knew it was going out for a couple months. I stocked up. Yeah. I got like literally 4 scoops left. I've been like weaning it. I mix it in with some different things. It's like, but yeah.
I love it, man. I love it, brother. Well, thank you so much, Cody. Of course, you guys can follow Cody at Carpentier NFL. If you check out his Twitter, he's got all the links on there. Playerprofiler.com. I am, of course, Flex Shane. You can follow me on Twitter at the Flex Network 1. So for Cody, I'm Flex Shane, and we are the Flex Network.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody.